Hey guys, Mika here, and I got a real special treat for you folks today. I have a Martin 1920s model mahogany ukulele, and what makes this ukulele really special and almost actually literally one of a kind is that this is one of those things that you kind of hear about. You might maybe get to see something like in a museum, but somehow it ended up here in the Ukulele Friend studios and it ended up in my hand and just continues to bless me to be a part of this, this whole kind of setup and being able to share all of these cool ukuleles with you. But this is an employee model Martin ukulele, and this is new for me, so we're kind of in that same boat of like, what, there's employee models, what does that mean? So a lot of Martin ukuleles are usually like for the commercial purposes of like going for musicians, for people like me to play them and to make a lot of music out of them. But for the employees at Martin, they have a special deal where pretty much when they retire from the company, they're allowed to build either a guitar or an ukulele, and only one, and then you can go ahead and make or build your own instrument. But there's some strings attached, and literally there's some strings attached in terms of you have to go ahead and design it in a way that doesn't interfere with like the stock models or the models that they sell to the public. So they might do different things, or they might have little Easter eggs inside of each instrument, and every employee instrument can vary based on what they want to include in their specific instrument. So if you get to, like me, I'm so lucky I get to hold an employee model. This employee ukulele will be different from another employee ukulele just because they want different things to be featured on their specific instrument. So I'm no Martin expert by any means, but there are some things that do stand out to me that I have not seen on most Martins that I have not played before in the past. One of them is this little engraving here with the pearl or the abalone right here on the 7th fret. We have almost like a bow tie. That's something that you usually will not find on a regular Martin stock model ukulele. Another thing is that you have this diamond here, this white diamond kind of shape here on the top. This is usually not typical for Martin ukuleles. Usually you'll have the Martin sticker. You'll either have a Martin heat stamp on the front to indicate that this is a Martin ukulele. Maybe you might have a Martin heat stamp, Martin and Company guitar ukulele right here on the back. And then also on the inside, you would have maybe some kind of sticker or maybe some kind of marking, a heat stamp on the inside, but there's nothing on the inside. So pretty much, it definitely is a Martin ukulele for those of you who've seen it or played one or are familiar with it from the, when you look at it, definitely a Martin, but there's just things about it that it's been taken away to show that this is an employee model. On top of the, the very much unique things that an employee can go ahead and add to this ukulele. And I'm sure there might be more Easter eggs, but again, I don't know Martin enough to be able to be like, oh, yep, I see that. Sometimes the amount of rings in the purfling around the body, or sometimes even around the rosette, that's another one of those Easter eggs where you might not really think about it too much, or it's just really rare to be able to play an old Martin in general. But again, we're in the same boat, and I learned that as an employee, you want to be able to try have a different set amount of rings. So for this instrument, I've counted 6 rings, where I think the standard amount of rings in a rosette is 5. It's one of those things where I had to it took me 30 seconds to literally count 6 rings because it's so close together, and then I could finally say, oh, there's 6. Again, it's one of those things that we might not think about too much, but then it's like if you know the history, or if you Googled it, like, hey, what is a Martin 1M or 3M model? Like, what is the specs? Oh, there's 5 rings, and then you count, oh, there's 6. It's something that you can easily kind of miss with the hidden details of this instrument. So this is such a cool, it's a piece of history because it's just about 100 years old, and being able to play any Martin prior to like 1960s is already pretty hard to come by. Now playing an instrument that's 100 years old, and then again this model being one that's very unique, one of a kind, being an ex-employee with Martin model once they retired. Another really cool thing that I kind of noticed right off the bat too, with comparing to the other Martins that I played, is that usually you'll have on the binding right here, this is ivory binding, but usually on the old Martins, or I guess most Martins, you're gonna have more of a yellowish kind of color, but this one looks very pale white. It looks very white, and then to me it's kind of confusing because I'm so used to seeing that kind of that yellow, that's the typical color to use, or just over time it starts to turn yellow if it's 100 years old, 80 years old. But to think that this is from the 1920s, but it still has that really shiny white color, on both sides of the binding, it's pretty spectacular. So it really pops, and it has a really nice contrast with the colors, with the stained mahogany, or just the darker mahogany that Martin uses for their instruments. But yeah, this is your soprano size ukulele. I mean, this one has extended frets. Usually a soprano model, on the simpler ones, you have like 12 frets to the body, but this one is more of that deluxe model because it goes all the way beyond the 12th fret to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It has a little hook at the bottom, has the line running down the middle. Tuners are really awesome and accurate. When I was tuning this instrument up, I noticed how easy it was to tune. The intonation on this instrument is pretty spot on. It's actually pretty magnificent that a 100-year-old ukulele sounds this good. You guys will get to see that in a moment, but it plays phenomenally. It sounds phenomenal. And again, just a really cool piece of history with it being an employee model. Just one of those, like, it's kind of rare to even hear about, but then just to be able to hold it just makes me again feel so crazy lucky to be able to have the opportunity to share this instrument with you. So going into the sound, Martin's is like one of those granddads in the world where like everyone just looks up to the grandpa and just respects it because he's been around the longest. Well, Martin Ukuleles has been around, one of the companies that's been around the longest, doing it one of the best. Again, it's been around for over 100+ years, and Martin just encompasses that nice Hawaiian traditional sound. It just has such a warm, inviting sound. But what's very awesome too about this is that soprano sounds, usually you're going to have that kind of brighter kind of quality and more childlike kind of sound, because with a smaller body you're not going to get a mature sound. Like if you play a tenor size, play a baritone size, you're going to get that mini guitar sound. When you play a soprano, you're going to get that really happy, upbeat kind of cheery sound, puts a smile on your face. But with this Martin ukulele, or with a lot of Martin's ukuleles, their sound quality, it gives off this very warm, inviting kind of sound, but you still retain that quality of that soprano kind of sound, which is very, I mean, this thing sounds incredible. Like, again, I can't believe this is 100 years old. If you blindfolded me and you gave me, oh, it's a soprano ukulele, oh, this must be like a custom. It's like super clean, super articulate. It really punches, it really bites. Wow. Oh my gosh, what? This is from 1920? It's like, it's insane to believe that an ukulele like this can sound this great. So easy to play too. So yeah, it just has that. It just has such a nostalgic kind of sound. Yeah, so absolutely amazing. So let me go ahead and try to jam this thing out for you guys. So check it out. incredible the kind of music that this instrument can make. And again, it has such an old nostalgic kind of sound to it. I mean, this is literally history in my hands with such a unique story. So, wow, what a treat. So here's some strumming. And usually it's not really common to be doing fingerstyle on a soprano. Usually soprano ukuleles are more for strumming, but I'm a fingerstyle player, so I couldn't resist. So here's a more, I guess, accurate representation of what a soprano is supposed to do. So here is some strumming. Just had to do that the second time. Amazing.